that we have to go to a higher order than this. We can't use reason on somebody that's not valuing reason in the decision-making process. You would have, if you really wanted to have
I do value reason. It's just I'm talking about something that's not
lighter and faster and stronger.
Welcome. Yes, I am live on Rumble for my very first actual stream. The other stream that I had was a test run. It did work out some kinks. I found a few issues that I had to resolve. I think I took care of them successfully. We'll find out tonight. Has a few things I wanted to go over as far as like my migration of my channel over to this particular platform, but I think I'm going to skip that tonight. I just don't really think it's be pertinent to this particular episode. So I'll discuss that in another show because I really do want to talk about this specific topic, which we have talked about on YouTube many times. This platform allows for, I think, a little more free discourse than YouTube, because YouTube, I'm just telling you, people just report the crap out of stuff, and there's no repercussions for it. And so, especially when there are topics that are divisive in some ways, and topics that are controversial, and unfortunately, topics like this seems to be one of the most controversial topics on Twitter. People will false flag, anything that you say that disagrees with them. If you look at the people on Twitter, how many people have went over to Rumble after losing their account on Twitter? And yes, a lot of people are arguing, well, that's just a lot of right-wing pundits. That might be the case. I'm not right-wing, though. So let me introduce myself for those who don't know on Rumble. I am not a right-wing pundit. I am, if anything, a centrist, and I'm probably the most moderate centrist of all time. I don't have a lot of strong opinions on political stuff when it comes to what is the most controversial subjects out there when it comes to politics. I just happen to discuss them in a more meaningful, intelligent, conversational type way. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about this particular topic. I do have Sean in here with me. Hi, Sean.
Hey, what's up, man? By the way, apparently, I am the right-wing proxy, and Gaming and Yelling, that's one of my guys. What's up, man?
All right, awesome. You brought some friends over. Let me know if on the outside you can hear Sean, making sure that you can hear him just fine. I spent several hours working on my setup, just like tweaking the kinks out, because I was going over my stream the other night, and it did seem to be very problematic. The quality wasn't that great. The sound wasn't that great. I did kick this up to 1080p, and I did completely kind of rework my sound system, and I think it looks and sounds a lot better now. But anyways, let's dive into this. So, the question that was posed is, has transgenderism gone too far? And what I mean by that is, obviously, there's a lot of connotations to that word transgender and transgenderism, which is more of a movement. It's a movement of normality to accept there are people in the world that state that they do not conform to the biological sex supposedly that they were born in. I don't like the way that's phrased, but that's what it's kind of given as. But basically, they might be a biological male, but they are mentally and psychologically a female. And let me ask you, Sean, first, do you accept and by the way, we're not having a debate here. This is actually a discussion. People are welcome to join. I have a few people that are joining here. The link is in the video description to join. Oh, actually, no, it's a live chat. I didn't put it in the video description. I will do that. But it is in the live chat, and if you want to dial in, the phone number is on the screen there. So please feel free to call in. But let me ask you, I mean, do you think that it's the case where somebody can be physically one thing but mentally believe that they're another?
No, not exactly. Like, the position I've always kept is, and I think these were people that you like wish could be on your show tonight, right? Like Buck Angel, and I think I sent you to the offensive tranny. And I know the last time I was on the stream, I pointed this out. Like, there are certain people that suffer from gender dysphoria, but they're not deluding themselves with this idea that they literally change themselves into a woman, right? They're like, I am a biological man or a biological woman that transitioned in order to appear as a man and live my life as a man. They don't pretend that they are literally a fucking like whatever gender that they switch to.
Blair White would fall in that category as well. She acknowledges that she is a biological male but identifies as female, and phenotypically would probably pass more just superficially as a female. Now, let me say, I do accept that there are people that have that belief. So, I mean, let me make sure that people parse out my beliefs, because that's one of the reasons I want to do this particular stream, so people do not mistake my positions. Because I am probably, if you would probably agree, I'm probably one of the most strawman persons on YouTube. I really do think I am, or on Twitter as well. I mean, dude, it got so bad that in 2000, was it 19, 20, 21? I don't remember. A few years ago, I wrote a blog article called "My Positions to Alleviate Strawman Abatement," or help have strawman abatement, because people were keep on misunderstanding my arguments, and so I kind of solidified them in a blog to say, look, man, that's not my position. And if you say that's my position, here I wrote it a few years ago saying this is my position. You're saying now my position is this. No, it's not. So
yeah, dude, I've followed you for just long enough to see that like your comment section is filled with that crap. And that's only been like 3 months, so you're talking about years.
Right. So I do believe that there are people that are transgender that believe that the opposite sex. That I accept. I absolutely do. And I have to say it probably is very disconcerting. I think gender dysphoria is a very real thing.
No, I get it. I don't disagree there. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they're not literally that, and I think telling people that they are literally that is harmful. That has been my position. That was my position in the last stream, and I've actually heard from other trans people that seem really happy. They're not angry people like the other trans people I hear on like TikTok. They're angry people. They kind of come to the same conclusion, just like Buck Angel and the offensive tranny.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I do agree with that. And I think a lot of people that try to force their beliefs to match reality are the ones that suffer probably more of the cognitive dissonance or the gender dysphoria, that their physical being is not matching with their mental state. And the ones that accept that, to say, look, I recognize that I am this biological male and I'm believe that I'm female, they're the ones that I think do better. People like Buck Angel, people like Blair White. They're not trying to say, look, I am actually physically a biological woman, to the point where you have people that are born biologically male that say they have things like periods, say they have things like the ability to get pregnant. This is where it jumps to shark, and this is when I'm arguing when I think transgenderism has gone too far. This is one of the things that I think has gone way, way overboard, when people are saying that their mental states can change physical reality that's external to them. Then I have a problem. Now, can it change internal states? Yeah, that's part of the mind-body problem. Your mental states can affect physical, and the physical can change, affect mental. But how that happens is really difficult to understand, because it's a problem of hard consciousness and has not been resolved yet. But I do think that the ones that are out there saying, look, I was born as a biological male, fully functional male, right? But I believe I'm a female. And they're telling people now that they can have things like periods when they don't have a uterus, they don't have any shedding in the uterine wall, they don't have ovum, they don't have any kind of menstrual flow. These things are what we know as to be, biologically in terms of a period or something like that.
Yeah, so that's the extra stupid crap that comes out of TikTok. But
a lot of it is on TikTok, yeah, but it's also it's also in Canada. They're pushing that for a while. You can't even deny certain things in Canada.
Yeah, I know
because true.
Because if you say it's true, it's true. Like that's part of the problem with all of this. And I think I said, I talked about this in the last time I was talking to you about the same issue. Is I don't even understand why LGB has anything to do with the T. And with the
TQ,
T,
yeah.
Well, no, hold on,
Mostly the T. Okay,
fuck the TQ. Like the T's, like I say, Buck Angel, the offensive trainer or whatever. Like the old school T's are like, no, like we understand what's going on with us. Like it's not what you guys are trying to push us. It's the Qs that are pushing this theory that if you believe you're a woman, you can be born in the wrong bottom and be like literally a woman. You're just as much as a woman as any other woman, no matter if you have a penis or not.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Matter of fact, when I was growing up, and we had a lot of people that were in the closet. I had somebody that was in the military that he was definitely in the closet, but we knew he was gay. We didn't care. And in the Navy, it was like you do your job. Nobody gives a shit. We didn't honestly. None of us cared. And many of us were actually promoting things like being able to express your sexuality in the military when the Clinton has don't ask, don't tell. I thought that was a very bad policy. I thought it was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, you could be gay, but we don't want to hear it. Just shut up. But because as soon as you say you're gay, we're gonna kick you out. I'm like, that's a violation of your freedoms. And so
yeah, I was never for that either.
Oh yeah, it's a crappy policy. It's a stopgap measure.
Like I'm just old enough to even know. I was in high school and heard about that, and I was like, well, that sounds bigoted. Like that's shitty.
I kind of understand why they did it. It was a stepping stone, and as a stepping stone to get where we are now, I approve it. But it still wasn't enough by any stretch of imagination. And so I was out there in the front line, promoting, the ability to come out of the Navy and express who you are. And I was an ally, and I still am an ally to gays and lesbians. Always will be, 100%. And now, though, I'm being told that I'm a bad man, transphobe, bigot, because I will not accept that if you do have a penis, you can get pregnant. And all of a sudden, I'm a bad person. This, to me, is mind-blowing. And a lot of people that are on Twitter that are gay, I have a lot of friends that are Twitter and they're gay, they agree it has gone too far. And they say, no, it's making us look stupid. Because when you're gay, that's who you are sexually attracted to, right? And so I think that a lot of that is hardwired. I do think there's some nurture to it, but mainly I believe that's nature. I believe people are born gay.
The fucking easiest question I have to say to any straight male is, could you choose to fuck a man?
Yeah, well, you could choose. Doesn't mean you would want to.
Could you make that? Could you make that choice happily? Exactly. Like
exactly.
And that the answer to that to me is no. So the people that are choosing yes, like I believe them. I believe they're gay.
Yeah. No. I absolutely. Yeah. And here's my point of view, and I am a cisgender male, and I don't mind the term cisgender. Some people say it's a slur. If you think it's a slur, that's fine. It's your choice. I couldn't care less. To me, it's trivial. It's
actually, I can say something about this, but make your point.
Okay. So, but I'm using it as that I am a male. I'm mentally and physically a male.
And so, we're also talking about a subject that involves transgender people, so it's important to point that out.
Correct. And so I happen to like the opposite sex, females, right? And if I liked males, then I would be considered gay or homosexual, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is what people have to understand. That's been the way it was for my generation and till by maybe 20 years ago. But I have no sexual interest in doing certain sexual feats, one of which, let's just say, sucking a dick. I have no desire to do it. And by the way, this is Rumble. We can get away with a lot more on Rumble than we can on YouTube. Although I'm going to upload this.
Hold up.
Good.
I'm going to turn this into a joke real quick. I'd do it for $1 billion.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And anybody that says they wouldn't, they're lying. They're fucking lying.
Everybody's a little gay. That's how much what's your price, okay?
So the actual person that says no is because you were talking about like throwing around words like transphobe in chat. The person that says no for $1 billion, that's the real homophobe.
I would do it for far less than a Happy Meal if I was desperate enough. Okay, I don't care. I mean, it doesn't mean I have to enjoy it. But yeah, if you said, "Hey, Steve, give me a blowjob for $1 million. I'm like, let's go, man. I'll be the best. I know what I'll be the best dick sucker you ever had in your life. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. People are like, oh, I wouldn't do it for $1 million. I'm like, well, you're an idiot. For 5 minutes of your time, be set for life. Be able to buy out Elon Musk, buy back Twitter, and fix it. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's like we're not telling you you're gonna like it.
Right. Exactly. But the point being is that I'm just not. That's something that sexual wise, I'm just not interested in. So let me ask you, then you can make your point. Let's say I have two people and they're identical in every single way. Okay. One of them though is just somebody in drag, but they may be gay, but they're just in drag. They're not trans. And the other person is trans, and they are, like I said, let's say identical twins. It's weird from an externalist point of view that if I'm attracted to the trans person, who's, I'm just gonna say more phenotypically female. Even well, no, I guess they still feel typically male, but they change their appearance to be female. I wouldn't be gay, but if I want to get with the drag queen who's both mentally and physically a male, I'm all of a sudden gay. So I don't think it makes sense to say gay is external. I think gay is internalized, and this is one of the problems I have with the whole transgender concepts, with their whole ideology, because it makes no sense, because it's relying a lot more on the externalist position rather than the internalist position. What do you think?
Oh no, I agree. Like I can't really say.
By the way, you said for $1 billion you suck a dick, right? Is that what you said?
Oh, for $1 billion, I would
you
suck
do
a
it for
dick.
$1 million?
Sure. Yeah,
right,
probably.
I got $20 here. What about that?
Nope.
God damn it! See, that's the difference between you and a male whore. Is just negotiation of price. That's really all it is.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, like it's like I can make enough money to put myself in that financial position until about $1 million.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's just a negotiation. That was all. I'm just curious.
There actually might be a number below $1 million, but
I would do it. Well,
I think there's a whole bunch of straight men in our chat right now, like calling out Pinoy News. He's gonna say he would never do it, and I'm like, bull fucking shit, dude. You want money? Yeah, we've had this question before. We used to run the channel together.
I would probably do it for $100,000 if the guy was attractive, at least. Maybe. I mean, it would have to be like somebody that I've had, like, at least I would go, damn, that dude is like, when I grew up, like I like guys like Lorenzo Lamas. I wasn't sexually attracted to him, but I was like, dude, that dude is like cool as shit. Remember the guy that played Renegade? That kind of stuff.
Don't know who you're talking about, but I still get what you're saying. Like the whole question,
Jason
when it comes to
Momoa,
stuff like that. Jason Momoa, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
like when it comes to questions like that, about
who knows?
would you do something that goes against your sexual nature for a certain amount of money? Like when people say no, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't believe them. I really don't.
Like it goes back to like more like the classical, like the 70s hippies sexual movement, right? Like you could do something like that and nobody would ever call you gay because you got money for it.
Let me ask you though, what do you think is the reservation for that? I mean, somebody could say, well, that's homophobic. And I'm not going to call that. Again, if you read the video description, we're going to avoid these types of hyperbolic and types of invectives.
Yeah.
They just don't go anywhere. So I don't think it's homophobic, but what is it that prevents somebody to say, look, I don't want to do this unless I'm compensated sufficiently where I can get over my mental aversion to it?
Greedy and human.
I think it's more than that. I think it really is. You have this. It's not a fear, but it's an aversion. But are you able to overcome it given sufficient conditions? I mean, look.
Oh yeah, no.
In the military, you have to do that all the time, right? I mean, I remember very vividly sitting there at port and starboard watches, full flash gear, in the Straits of Hormuz and the Silkworm missile envelope with Iraqi fighters flying around us, and we're like, hey, by the way, if we have an incoming missile, we've got to take that missile hit and not the Carl Vincent group that we're with, not the aircraft carrier. And you know what? You overcome that fear. You just do your job. You don't focus on it, and you just do your job, even though that at any time you just cease to exist, because a missile's going to come in and poof, you're gone. So. But you're getting paid for do that job, and you sign up for it. And I think the people like firefighters and policemen and emergency responders, they are the ones that have to mentally prepare themselves to overcome that fear because of conditions. or in this case, it's just aversion. Because I don't think it's a fear. You don't fear sucking a dick. It's just just something.
Yeah, no, like
do, right?
I think we talked about that earlier. Like they throw out the word phobias, and phobia is supposed to be out fear, but like neither of us are transphobic.
Yeah.
Talking about this at all.
No, not by any means.
As far as that whole sucking the dick thing goes, I'm just kind of thinking it was like, you know what? I don't think I would actually look that far into it. It's more like, what kind of shitty job would you do to make a bunch of money, right? Like I wouldn't clean up shit for $10 an hour, but I'd do it for $1,000 an hour easily.
Yeah, well, I did in the Navy. I'm sorry, but you've got to clean up a lot of shit, and I mean literally, because you always have what's called brown trout season, where the things get backed up, and of course the junior people have to do it the most. Once you reach a certain level, you have other people do it. I made E5 pretty quickly, and then I made E6.
I'm actually going to admit that me with the whole like suck a dick for $1 billion thing completely derailed the conversation we're supposed to have. So
no, actually, I think it's very much in the conversation.
I think it's a little bit off.
But by the way, listen,
I have a friend.
One second. Call in, people. We have the number to call in there, and then the PIN number, or you can. There's a link I keep putting out. You can join if you want to join. I do have 2 more people coming in here shortly, probably in the next 15 minutes. But go ahead, and then we'll move on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I do have a gay friend that's in here that might be interested in joining, so I called him out. It would be a nice perspective to have an actual gay, and like, he is literally my fucking token gay friend.
Awesome.
His name is Gaming and Yelling for a reason, because he's gay and he games and he yells.
That's perfect. Yeah, you always have to have one. All right, so I think we both agree then that it just doesn't make sense for transgender people to say that they are something that they're not when it comes to ontological status, and I think that's what they're pushing for. And I think that's where the confusion comes in.
I think it's hurting them.
It really does.
I said it the last time. I think it's making them angry. It's making them part of this rage cult on the left, and I don't think it's helping transgender people at all. And I because if I suggest to them, like, what if there was a therapy to make somebody who says they're transgender align to their gender and be completely normal for the rest of their life? Like, what would you say about that therapy? Would you say it's effective, it's fun, or would you say it's transphobic and bigoted?
That's a great point. That's a
the
great
transgender movement would say it's bigoted. They don't want you to actually convince people that they can be comfortable in their own body and not go through these dramatic changes. And there's no research being put towards it. There's no therapies being put, because they call it conversion therapy. Right. Which has like a negative connotation, but it shouldn't necessarily.
Well, it depends.
As long as it's sound, like as long as it works.
Conversion therapy was tied to reparative therapy, which a lot of it went back to an organization called Evergreen, which was actually, ironically enough, subsidized by the LDS Church, which you and I had talked about before we went on air. And they were using not just hypnotic therapy, but they were also using drugs, and they were even using electroshock therapy. And the problem with this is that people that are born gay are not going to be able to just change how they're hardwired. I think it is a hardwired type thing, and you cannot change hardwire. I believe I'm hardwired to a vast majority to be attracted to the opposite sex.
Oh, that's what I said that earlier. Like I couldn't convince him. I couldn't choose to just want to have sex with the guy. I can't do that. Right. I can't make a conscious choice.
But let me ask you though. You said gaming and yelling out there. By the way, gaming and yelling. Come on in, man. Come on in.
I'll give him the link.
Okay. So, gay people don't really suffer a mental distress from being gay. Do they suffer from societal stresses? Absolutely, sure. I completely agree with that. But these are external sources, not internal. And so they don't have this dysphoria when we're talking about things of the transgender nature. So there's no reason to have conversion therapy for them. You can't pray the gay away. Sorry, Christians, pray the gay away is bullshit. Reparative therapy is bullshit. Conversion therapy is harmful, and it's absolute bullshit. Anybody who believes in it, you're just, to me, a nut job. But the difference is if you're in a state of dysphoria where you literally have a psychological condition that's in the DSM-5 that you are distressed, where it affects your daily life, that your mental state does not correspond to your physical state, if you can alleviate that by resolving that disconnect and change the mental state to match the physical state where you're no longer think you're trans, I don't call that conversion therapy. What I think it is just normalizing the medical situation where you are taking away the gender dysphoria without having to resort to unnecessary radical medical intervention that could do things like sterilization, can cause atrophy of tissues. It can cause long-term dependency on the healthcare system. Okay, we got something coming in, but yeah, I think that's the main way to go if that's the most viable option. It may not be the only one, but I definitely think that's the preferred choice. The other way would be match the body to the mind, where you have surgical intervention, you have HRT therapy. But the problem with that is that, again, that's a lot more invasive. It's irreversible. And the other options are maybe a mix of both or neither, and just teach them how to cope with it. But anyways, welcome, John.
Morning, gentlemen. Am I audible?
Yeah, they said that somebody just said that he's loud. Sean here is louder than me, which is strange. I could turn up my mic gain at least match. You guys gonna have to turn down your audio.
I moved my mic away from my face, so we should be good.
I'm gonna turn my audio gain up a little bit here. Wait, audio. Okay. Let me know if that's too much.
So, gents, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good.
And we look who decided to show. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
You know what? I can change my gain here too. That should be a little better. Let me know on the outside of it's normalized. Welcome, Aaron. I also know as EKPC people suck from YouTube. Did you listen? Did you listen to any of the first part? Because we're not going to go over the first part.
No, I'm sorry.
We might do a recap for you.
I had company real quick, so I had to spend a little time with that. So I didn't get a chance to listen. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, I'll tell you what. Since we got both John and Aaron here now, I'll just do a quick recap of what we have so far. So what we're talking about, has transgenderism gone too far as the wanting of people to understand that just because somebody has a biologically male body and a female psychology or mental state, that doesn't make them ontologically the opposite sex. So if I am born biologically male and I am psychologically thinking I'm a female, what's the reason to call that person a woman, unless we're just talking about some kind of gender? We're talking about psychological. But unfortunately, what we're finding is that a lot of trans people on the internet, on Twitter, are trying to convince people that biological males can have things like periods and get pregnant, which to me is where they jump the shark. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, like an awful lot lately. I can't seem to push it out my head, actually. Whenever I get sort of like a quiet moment, it seems to be running through my brain. And something that I realized that I noticed is that if, just as a for instance, if a person claims that they're born in the wrong body, in principle, they should, if you could give them a magic wand and they could make any wish and get whatever they wanted from that magic wand, genie, whatever, insert whatever magic thing you want here. If they were born in the wrong body, they should be wishing for that they could have a be perfectly born in the sex of the body that they actually identify with, right?
Supposedly, sure.
Is there anybody in this room that gets the feeling that that's actually what they want, or do we just get the feeling that there is a significant portion of the transgender community right now that just want to be different and want to be special, and that the end goal is transgenderism, not to be in the opposing sex?
Well, I 100% agree. There's a whole bunch of people that just want to be different and want to be special.
Yeah.
But I actually, am able to separate that from people that really suffer from gender dysphoria.
And I'm glad that you can.
Agreed.
I think that's very important. I think there's different camps out there. I think there's a lot of narcissistic,
Yeah,
entitled millennials who just want to be treated differently, respect my pronoun kind of stuff, when people just
Yeah.
don't want to really deal with them. Those people I'm going to put to the side just for the sake of the conversation, at least for right now. And I'm talking about the people who honestly have these convictions.
Yeah, the
because those-
0.02% of the
most distress.
population
But that's where I was going to go. We've got sort of like a group of people who have like an integrity to them and a sincerity to them, who, even if a person doesn't themselves think that they are in the wrong body, we can at least view their intentions as, no, you might not think it, but I do. But then you've got a bunch of people who are sort of these, how can I put it?
Narcissists, entitlement, egotist, millennials, Gen Z.
There are a group of people who just want control over our perception of reality rather than have an end goal in mind for themselves.
Okay. Aaron?
If that makes sense.
Let the woman speak. She gets testy when
Sorry.
she doesn't.
She can't have testes, man. That's not how it works.
I hate to come out of the gate swinging here, but
I would expect no less. What do you think I brought you in for?
I just you mentioned like a sense of entitlement and everything, and I'm just looking at what I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong in my assumption, but I'm looking at 3 cisgendered males right here talking about transgenderism.
Look,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's an open
No.
I'm a cis
platform.
female. I'm a cis female.
I'm sorry for being I'm sorry for being a man, Aaron. I'll try not to be next time.
Identify as a
Yeah, tomorrow
female.
I'll be nonsense.
I'm a body naturalist, female, lesbian.
My point is,
And
Aaron,
fuck people being
my point is
naked.
I'm not
Think I
gonna
need to.
take it upon myself to go on panels and start talking about racial relations,
not?
like as though I have some sort of
Why not?
Why not?
I have some sort of right to.
Why
No,
not?
why not?
because- okay.
No, you're entitled to your opinion on
Aaron,
anything that you like.
No, but my opinion isn't. It doesn't mean shit though, and things
Sure it does.
that don't affect
Of
me,
course it
things
does.
that I can't possibly know or understand. My opinion.
But they do affect you, Aaron.
No, they don't. These
Race
things
relations don't affect you.
Let me ask you this, Aaron.
Transgenderism doesn't affect you?
No, racism.
Sorry,
okay.
Yeah, but Aaron, real quick,
I'm
first of all,
not about to go on. I'm not about to go on panel and with and sit here and try to explain racism to everyone and try to judge racism, whether or not it's a thing, whether or not racism in this situation was the cause or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my place to, because I can't possibly know every single example of racism. I'm sure the most obvious ones or whatever, like the slurs and everything. Sure, yeah, we all know them. But there's a whole other a frame set up that I'll never know, and that's all I'm saying. That's my whole point of making that comparison is that I'm not going to sit here and judge whether or not someone has a right to be considered transgendered, or whether or not someone is out of line to want to be viewed and referred to as a specific gender. I mean, I don't really care one way or the other. I mean, it's their life, it's their gender.
So,
I mean, and I just want to point out though too, like a lot of the things a lot of the rhetoric and everything that is being shared and talked about, like especially online and shit like that, it's bullshit. Like a lot of these examples that you're reading about, they're not real, or they're fabricated, or they're exaggerated, or they're literally just twisted right around. I mean, it's basic misinformation and propaganda, like you see in anything, in any other issue.
That's a lot.
Can I-
That's a lot.
Can
Wait,
I
hang
get
on,
a can I
no,
can I
hang
get
on,
a
hang on.
specific example?
Well, hang on, that's a lot to unpack there. First of all, let everybody know,
Okay.
Erin is known as the entitlement translator. Okay, so she's literally has a channel expressing herself as other people's thoughts.
Well,
But
Because I speak entitlement very well.
you
so
do, you do,
fluently.
as an entitled cisgender white woman. Yeah, I guess so. But before Sean, the problem that I have with what you said is that I think when we deal with things like racism and things of that nature, it is a community effort. You know as well as I do, I live with a black woman who suffers from racist things all the time. People know that I've gone on YouTube and told stories of what she has to endure, you know, almost daily sometimes, being called these most horrific, you know, pejorative things, and see the effect that it has on her. And you know how much I care about, you know, my roommate. We've known each other 15 years. And so it has effect on me. So I do think I have a responsibility out there to try to minimize things like racism as much as possible. I don't need to have, you know, this in-depth understanding. I would have absolutely, as you said, I agree with you 100%. There's no way possible I can understand what it's like to be, you know, a black man living, you know, in the deep South, is, you know, being looked at differently, treated differently. Of course, I couldn't. You know, I could try to emphasize and understand that, but at the very least, I could try to fight against it, right? And I think that's the point, you know, because I think nobody's here racist, right? None of us clearly are racist.
No, I know, and I don't get me wrong, okay, and. Okay, yes, you can absolutely try to fight against it and try to make a change and make a difference. But the thing is, is the way you go about it is by trying to like relate to or connect with your white community. Basically, you're not going to go into a black community or tell people of color what is or isn't racist, or what they're allowed to, or what they should be deeming as racist or not. You know what I mean?
It depends.
That's my whole point.
No, you absolutely can. Sorry,
I lived in
no.
Like I've done exactly what you said I shouldn't do.
John, then Sean, go ahead.
Sorry, you can't have just one part of your community dictate terms to the rest of your community. That is antithetical to what a community is. It's a community effort. I don't.
Okay. It's dictating a victimhood or being on the receiving end of something. They're not dictating it. They're giving testimony. That's what I'm talking about.
No, that's not what I mean. So your perception of the world is definitionally in the first person, and you yourself can perceive something to be racist, sexist. It can be misandry. You can perceive yourself to be a victim, but we as a community, as a collective, have to decide what is and is not fair or unfair, right? So as a for instance,
it's not what you're talking about, fair or unfair.
Well, look, So Aaron, since you've done us I don't know if everybody on Rumble can see you, but I can see you in this chat.
They can see.
You've done the great honor of coming on camera, and I can tell you that from my perspective, you appear to be an incredibly attractive woman. You know?
Oh, thank you.
Wow, suck it up to the panelist here. Okay, you guys want your own room? Hey, Sean, you're definitely for a while.
I mean, I'm married. I hope my wife can't hear me right now.
Oh my God, I've known Aaron for a while.
She would go to their own room.
Dude, I've never seen her.
But you're definitely my type. Let's put it that way, right?
I might have made a match here. Holy cow! Look at her blush.
It's a filter. Shut up.
But if I came up to you in a bar, as like, I've got Irish ancestry, right? So if I came up to you in a bar and I approached you and you said, as I would expect you to do, and I hit on you and offered to buy you a drink, and you said, "Oh, no, thanks. You know, I'm with friends. I'm not interested, whatever." And I'm sure you'd be very polite about it, but I would expect you to go, "No, thanks." I wouldn't view that as sort of like anti-Irish because I've got Irish ancestry, or anti-English or British because I have an English accent. I would just view that as your own personal discretion. You have a personal preference. But we're in a world right now where if I was a black person, or if I was a transgender person, that would be viewed as either racist or transphobic, or your personal autonomy has almost been completely removed from you. You're not actually allowed to say no to a certain groups in our society because you have a personal preference.
No, but so we are.
You can't. What I'm saying is you can't put you cannot just give the person who claims to be the aggrieved person all of the authority to dictate what gives them and does not give them the right to be in an aggrieved status.
You're comparing turning down a drink to, like, I'm talking about actual things that would be prejudice. First of all, if I were to turn someone down allegedly because of a physical trait or whatever, but I'm talking about actual examples of like just racism, where it's the government or it's an authority, or they're being denied a job, or they're being denied any other rights or privilege that everyone else has. Okay.
Yeah, but so Aaron, how collectively as a society did we come to the determination that those specific aspects of how do we determine that where the line is drawn between? So I make judgments sometimes based on race. So I have a personal preference a lot of the time that is based on race. So I don't make a value judgment about, for example, black women, but the vast majority of my dating pool, my dating history, does not include black women. And that's because I have an aesthetic preference. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to lie and sit here and tell you.
It's fine, though. It's fine. It's nothing. There's nothing for you to be ashamed for. No, that's fine.
No. I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm not.
No, I know. I'm not saying you should be ashamed. I'm saying that no one else should give you shit for it. Is basically what I mean. Okay.
Yeah, and if anybody did, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves, right, because I'm entitled to my personal preference.
Right. We all have that right to be with whoever we want for whatever reason.
I employ people I run a company and I employ people. If I made the same distinction because I'm from employment, which I absolutely don't, but then you would call me an evil son of a bitch, right?
Oh, I don't know if I call you evil son of a bitch, but I mean, I would definitely, if it was.
But you understand the sentiment that I'm trying to convey. You would consider me to be less.
If it had been made apparent that you were in fact denying people jobs, very likely because of their race, then that'd be fucked up. I mean,
yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I am
you and I agree on that, and I would think that the vast majority of our society would agree on that, right?
Right.
But we didn't come to that conclusion because the people who weren't getting the jobs dictated that to us externally. We came to that conclusion because it is a moral consensus that we have all come to together. And if we have a society that has placed victimhood on a pedestal, and then you also have a victim.
Talking about that. I'm not.
Well, no, I'm pushing back on what you said about when you said that if a person, essentially, you said that if a person feels that what you're doing is unfair, then they get to dictate to us that what we're doing is unfair. And I don't think that's the case. I think we actually have to have a conversation about it. It can't just be dictated to us.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, first, I think that this has really gone off rails. I was just making a comparison as to how it's kind of like, it looks like entitlement when a group of like cis males are up on panel trying to dictate it's allowed in heterosexual and transgenderism. I was just saying I was comparing that to like if I were to be on a panel discussing racism and trying to like inform people of color or people affected by racism what is racist or not. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. I
think the difference is, Aaron, is that in those kind of panels they're more involving their own personal experiences. We're talking about the subject as a objectively standpoint theory, because it's odd that we're using standpoint here, but we are looking at it from an externalist point of view. We're looking at it, okay, right. And you showed up a little bit later than we had this conversation, but I had asked you the question: if I had two identical people, let's say they were twins, and they were both identically, they were born both male, fully male. They can inseminate, they're male, but one of them is just drag. He decided to go drag. Looks totally female, but is still attracted to men and identifies as a male. The other one identifies as a female and is trans. From the outside point of view, there's no distinction. There's no way to ever tell which one's which. You couldn't do it without asking any questions and then assuming that they're telling you the truth and all this stuff. There's no way to objectively verify of which one is which. Now, if I happen to be attracted to the ones that's trans, they're trying to say that is now heterosexuality. But if I'm attracted to the one that's in drag, now all of a sudden I'm gay. I can't parse that out of my head because that to me is just logically inconsistent.
I don't understand. Like, we're talking sexuality. That's not transgenderism. I mean, that's something entirely different. I mean, I don't understand why does who you're attracted to determine this?
I'm telling you what they're telling. They would say to me,
right? No, okay. Whoever's saying it, why does that? I don't understand.
I don't understand it either. Because to me,
it's comparing like apples and oranges and trying to make like I don't know, cucumbers or something. I don't know.
You know me, right? I'm heterosexual, right? So I would not be interested in the drag person, correct? Because they're
Steve, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, let me just finish this, and I guarantee you can have the mic. I would not be interested in the drag, right, Aaron? Would you agree with that?
Okay.
Then why would I be interested in the trans person? Just because they believe that they're female.
I don't know.
It has no effect on me, right? It shouldn't have an effect on me.
Well, no, you can be attracted to whoever you want. I don't know why it matters the effect that it would have on you.
Because that's what they're saying on Twitter. People have said, look,
I've come across this in the wild too, and I think. Sorry, I don't want to butt in, but I kind of do want to butt in, actually.
You're English and you're drunk. It's 6 a.m. for
No,
we can drink and
it's 6 in the morning for me. I'm drinking.
You think this is just coffee? Oh, bless your heart.
Drink. I'm going to take a shot.
I am drinking a very powerful coffee right now. So I think the argument that you've just laid forth, Steve, and I've seen it in the wild too. Don't get me wrong. It's gone well beyond. This is kind of laying into the narcissistic portion of the population who don't just want to go, hey, I want to live my life the way I want to live my life. They now want to reach into other. Yeah, the person that makes that kind of argument now wants to reach in your life and reach into my life and dictate terms to us. And if we don't acquiesce to the terms that they want to live their lives by, then they will say that we are transphobic. And this is how you end up with the absolutely batshit crazy argument where you've got biological males with their penises still intact who claim that they are women and that lesbians are transphobic because they don't want to fuck them.
Yeah. I've seen that in the real world, but anyways, Sean wanted to jump in.
As have I. Sorry, that was it.
He basically just answered my question, right? So my thing was, imagine you met Blair White in a bar, but you had no fucking idea that they were trans, right? And then you meet her, you talk to her, and then she drops the bomb on you. Well,
if I got Blair White home and I didn't know. And then if I got I'm a straight guy. If I got Blair White home,
if it was just head. No, head. It's not just head.
And then I found out at the critical moment.
It's not head.
If I found out at the critical moment and I as a very average man got Blair White home, I'd be like, does it really matter that much?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Because, let me tell you why. Because one. I think that most people, I guess, if you had a chance to be a Blair White, you probably would do it just for the hell of it because it's Blair White. I get that. I really do. Okay, but
well, I would do that because I'm a
I'll tell you a story. We had a guy in the Navy, right, on my ship. This is a swear to God, hand to God story. I think we were over in. I'm pretty sure. No, we were in the Philippines or we're in Thailand or somewhere. I don't remember the specificities. But anyways, he was telling us the next day, right? Everybody's got hangovers. We're all had, sure. And he told me he was telling us he got a hooker, right? He got a prostitute for the night, and he said that when he got to the place wherever it was, because they usually have their own little place, I guess. He found out it was a guy, it was a lady boy or whatever, and so we're all like, "Holy shit, what'd you do?" And I swear to God, he said, "I paid for him. I fucked him." I was like, "Damn, okay." Straight face as shit.
I mean. Setting aside all the, I'm sure the judgment that's gonna arise from sort of the utilization of prostitutes in the armed forces, which of course we all know happens.
Oh,
I mean, that's basically the same
dude.
sentiment, isn't it?
Oh God, did we tell you
but-
the people? They all have this big old line to medical after most ports. Like, they just walk by and see the people in shame, And then a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh well, of course. I mean, look, men will be men.
But
the vast majority of us.
But it isn't a false pretense. It really is. I think people have a right to know, what they're getting themselves into, because I think that if people are being misled, I think it is a form of catfishing.
So I made this argument literally 15 years ago. I remember the conversation so unbelievably clearly. I was at college. I was at a friend's house. We were having what we thought was a dinner party, but we were kids. We didn't really know. And I remember I nearly came to blows with a friend of mine because I said that at the time I said, look, we're getting to the stage now with the medical technology that we're deploying that if a person wants to try and externally change their sex, that you might not essentially be able to tell, but they haven't actually changed their sex. And I have, according to the sort of the paradigm of the world that we live in morally, apparently we all of us have an absolute right to choose our sex, to choose our sexuality, right?
Sure.
That's my right. So if somebody withholds information from me and then they engage in a sexual act with me and it turns out that they're not actually the sex that they've portrayed themselves to be, does that constitute a sexual assault? Have they taken away my right to determine my sexuality?
But it's a lack of informed consent.
It's a lack of informed consent. But a lack of informed consent is what?
Misleading people. It's
but is that a sexual assault? So stealthing. So let's put it this way: stealthing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So taking off a condom when you say that you've got a condom on. You've got a set of parameters under which you have conceded or accepted to engage in sexual activity, and somebody changes the parameters of the contractual engagement that you have, the consent, without your knowledge. So does that become a sexual assault? Because in California, stealthing is a sexual assault.
Yeah, no.
Because they've changed the parameters of the sexual engagement.
It can
without your knowledge.
It can be. The problem with that is it's so hard to prove such a case, right? I mean, what do you? Unless you have,
I'm not arguing
in writing, right? So I don't think it's something that can be very prosecuted. Something can be prosecuted per se.
Let's set aside the burden of proof and just look at it from the moral axis.
That's exactly what I go. I say I have to look at it from the ethical point of view, right? The deontological point of view, and I think that ethical, yes, that is unethical because you're changing the parameters of the contract.
I mean, I'm not a utilitarian in any shape or form. I always
I'm
use
not
things from
either.
deontological.
I tend to virtue ethics, as you know. But Sean wanted to raise his hand real quick. And by the way, if you're in the live chat there, like I said, call in. We got a link there. And you know what? I just found out. I didn't realize that Rumble had super chat. I'm not asking for one, but hey, if you want
Rumble Rats.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Hey, so you know what? Maybe I will ask. Yeah, go ahead. Send super chats. I don't care. I made 5 cents.
Aaron's rubbing us all right now.
I made.
She's fussing with her camera.
I made 5 cents so far on Rumble since I've been on Rumble. 5 cents. Yes.
Hold on, yo, Steve. Barely know you, but I just want to follow up a little bit on this. Like, if you like your independent content creators, if you like Steve, support him. Like, right. There's nothing. There is nothing that is going to make Steve more likely to make more content than you giving him money. I'm sorry. There's nothing.
That is true. Aaron's the same way. I think every content. We all say we do it for fun, and we do. We do it for enjoyment, but
we do it. But money is important.
I will tell you this. I don't remember if I told Aaron or not. I think I did, but I mean, my daughter's education has been a little more costly than we all would expect. And things like that. I'm literally giving my daughter $16,000 of my own money to help her with college. It's a dental hygienist school is what it is. And so I'm going to be doing more of this stuff. I'm not saying that to people send me money, but it helps. So yes, so I'm $16,000 even more going down. But you know what? To me, it's well worth it because
give Steve money.
It leads to her future, and she's going to make good money as a dental hygienist. She's coming down here in the next couple of weeks, and when she does come down here, I promise at least the people that have supported me, we're going to have a little, show private thing with my daughter. She is 18 now. and you'll be able to like meet her. I want to meet her. You guys are like my family. I mean, I'm Aaron. I adore you, and so I would be honored if you would ever meet my kid. You know.
By the way, to everybody else in the chat, because
I would love to. Oh my God.
Steve paid me $3 to promote him, to give him money
Yeah,
that
you
I
make
could
up
buy,
$3.
that I could get a large French fries from McDonald's, and it was worth it.
It's more than $3. And by the way, do you know that in California, the fast food workers, starting in I think it's April, is going up to guess how much minimum wage is going up to here in California for the fast food workers, Aaron?
Oh, dude, I don't even fucking know, but I just went to Phoenix, and shit was way more expensive, especially
I bought a Baconator meal, $18 at Wendy's. Never again.
Holy shit!
I'm not even joking. $18 damn dollars. I am. You know,
that shit was that shit was
good.
$3 when I was
so
in high
good.
school.
But everybody knows I'm frugal as shit. Okay, I do not spend money on unnecessary type stuff, and now I'm going to be saving even more because even though I be able to give my daughter the stuff, I need to build it back up because I was going to get a place for me and Kano. We wanted a bigger place. Now we got to postpone that for about a year. But yeah, guess how much minimum wage is going to be now, Aaron?
Hopefully a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, $20 an hour.
Damn, yo,
for McDonald's.
But
the problem is that
you got a new monthly supporter, bro.
I got it. I see it. It just came. Autistic Shill, now a monthly supporter. My first, Shill, you're my first supporter on Rumble. Yay! Give it up for Autistic Shill. And then $5. Do they call it super chats here?
No. I don't know.
They're called Rumble Rants.
Rumble Rants. Is that what it is? Here you go. A new sub and a few bucks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Autistic Show. So Autistic Show has the award for the what do they call it? The achievement for the very first paid subscriber and very first Rumble Rant. Thank you, Autistic Show. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to follow you, but it won't let me follow you.
I don't know how I'm just figuring out Rumble as we go. I'm so glad that I'm switching over here. Even I'm still doing YouTube stuff. Don't stop being members and all that stuff at YouTube. I'm going to post this content on YouTube so people are going to watch after the fact. And I'm going to probably use Restream and stream to both platforms. So I'm going to be doing stuff, and I'm going to be trying doing 2 shows a week if possible. Because again, I need the money. I'm not going to front. I need the money. I'm okay with that. I'm not. Everybody's like, Steve, you suck at self-promotion. I'm like, well, shit, man. How much did we spend to get the lawsuit from the Non-Sequitur Show, and I still haven't got a dime yet to it, even though I've won? Come on. Anyways.
Yeah,
is that what you've not?
It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do to try to sell yourself, basically. You know, and like I don't know because I can't. I have a hard time doing it too. So I don't know.
No, we're all in the same boat. This is why we suck as YouTubers. You know, look, I've always said I've never set out to be a big YouTuber, and the fact that I did get a little lucky with the Non-Sequitur Show and it got some popularity, got some notoriety, and then I got screwed over. I'll never forget that experience, and I still want to do the Non-Sequitur Show. I know Nikki and I want to do supernatural stuff on that channel. But you know, the shit that came along with it, I don't miss. People are evil.
Yeah.
And I don't miss those evil people, those unethical piece of shit that just want to cause harm to people. And I find that the toxic environment is pervasive on Twitter and YouTube. And I'm hoping that on Rumble we kind of avoid that more because it's a newer platform. We get a newer audience, get newer people, and just avoid the shitty freaking people that just go around trying to cause harm. You know?
That's not true, Steve. You came to Rumble because you want to throw out the N word with abandon. You want to engage in transgender, in transphobia and homophobia. You've just come to Rumble because you're an unacceptably bigoted person.
No. He's correct. All I want to do is say the N-word, dude. Naggers.
One of the main reasons, and this is true. My YouTube channel is being extorted. There's no question about it. And I've been talking to YouTube Creator. I've been talking to YouTube Legal. They don't seem to be able to do much about it. And you know me, man. I'm a fighter, and I don't like being extorted. This is the second time that I have been extorted on YouTube, and I'm blown away with all the amount of evidence I have of this extortion that they cannot do shit. They say they just don't keep track of things, and I'm like, bullshit. I know you do. If you file a DMCA, it is tracked. Don't tell me that it's not, that they cannot check how many false DMCAs a channel has had, how many false privacy strikes the channel has had. There's no way they can tell me that they don't track that. I know they do, but they just don't care. So, yeah.
I think though, what can they really do about it? Like, let's say that they could trace all of these complaints or all these claims back to one account. So then they ban that account from YouTube. Okay, so then the person just starts another account.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
They
it's kind of like a waste of their time, really. I think.
Exactly.
I think that's why. You know, and that sucks. It's bullshit. It is.
But I'm moving all my content over to Rumble. Everything on my YouTube channel will be mirrored on this particular channel, and the Non-Sequitur Show. I have 2 channels on Rumble now. So, but anyways, let's get back to the topic. So, I think Aaron, you know, we were making a very good point, or John was making a very good point of why the transgender community thinks that they can dictate what they believe to other people, and I really didn't want to get too much into this, but I guess we have to. Pronouns. You know, the usage of this is my opinion on this, and I want to make sure people very, very distinctly hear what I have to say on it, because I did whole shows on pronouns. Matter of fact, you remember the pronoun episode I did on Non-Sequitur Show? That was a complete dumpster fire. I mean, right out of the gate, it was a dumpster fire. It ended up being a great show. It was a dumpster fire because people did not understand what I was trying to tell them. The usages of pronouns are by social contract that if you want to use a placeholder for somebody's actual name. John's name is John. If I wanted to have a pronoun that have a reference to the referent of his
Sorry, Steve.
identity.
My pronoun is giant dick.
Yeah. So
But in all seriousness, like if you get to dictate your pronouns,
right. Well, that's not a pronoun. That's it's a noun. But a pronoun refers to the noun. But my point is that if somebody doesn't really pass, and I know I'm going to get flack for this, and I expect it, but if somebody doesn't really pass, if John right now, and you see what he looks like, even though he's not on camera, if he said, "Hey, look,
well, sorry, it's early morning for me, but I will just stick myself on camera ever so briefly.
And after you're done, I'm going to be the extra asshole.
All right. So John, if he just said, "Hey, look, I'm a female," there you go. Yeah, look at him. I mean, good-looking guy, sort of, for an English guy.
You are. You're a good-looking person.
Oh my God! Get a room, you two.
Yeah. See.
Love you, Aaron.
I could go if you want. I know what it's like to be the third wheel.
You're still here?
Yeah, I know. Isn't it late for you, Aaron? But I'm not going to refer to John as a she. It's just not going to happen, right? Aaron looks like a female, right? According to John, she's his type. I'm not going to refer to her as a he. Even if biological Aaron was a male, she's absolutely passable as a female. Clearly, right? Look at her. She's looking all kind of blushy tonight.
Thank you.
Like, I'm so glad. I'm
a passing female.
Yes, you're passing female. So the reality is that when we use these pronouns, it's because of how we view the person, not how they view themselves. And when they start wanting to have pronouns, again, I think that we could migrate around he and she. But the problem is when they have these neopronouns of z, zer, zit. None of us.
I hear that.
None of us have any kind of social obligation or moral duty to recognize those things as viable and legit pronouns. If they want to use them as themselves with their little group of people, that's perfectly fine for them to do. They're in that social contract with them. There's the structure. But we are not. We're not under any duty or moral obligation to, nor should we, if we don't think that they're doing it out of good intentions. Because as John brought up earlier, the people that are using those neo pronouns have got to be the most narcissistic, egotistical people I've seen on the internet. Almost all of them.
Even though it's hard to know what the primary function.
Pronouns are Z0. Why will we not accept them?
Well, but it's hard to know what the primary function of a pronoun is because they serve so many roles. But I guess one of the things that a pronoun does is it conveys your perception of the person that you're speaking to, and your perception is your perception. And if somebody is trying to dictate a pronoun to you, then they're trying to grab control over what you perceive.
Exactly, Steve. Why will you not accept me as a Zer?
Pronouns are descriptors.
Right.
They help other people understand what it is you're talking about, who it is you're talking about. Like, say if you're reporting a crime to the police or whatever, and you kept referring to the assailant as he or she, that's telling the police that they are looking for either this half of the population or the other half of the population, basically.
Yes.
You know, that's
Yeah.
what it's a descriptor.
And even more so, you have to remember that pronouns are anaphoric, and what anaphoric means that you have the object and you have the reference, so it's dependent upon some kind of antecedent that you've had before in a grammatical structure. So if it says John went to the store and he liked, John went to the store and he bought this. The he refers back to the antecedent of John, so we know what we're referring to, so it doesn't read as John went to the store and John bought this. It just sounds a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
So it's called anaphoric or anaphoria. And so when we talk about things like Z or Zer and say, oh, well, Z went to the store, what the hell does that even mean? It does nothing. It doesn't refer back to John. It doesn't refer back to anything.
You might as well just say they at that point, because it could be anyone or it could be everyone.
Yeah, and by the way, they can be singular. I mean, the transgender community is correct on
right.
this. But grammatically, of course it can. If I say, hey, look, Aaron, you got a call and they didn't leave their information, that's grammatically fine. And it is ambiguous, right? But if you know the caller had a masculine or feminine voice, you're typically going to say she called, he called. This is normative, right? There are always going to be outliners, right? And we've all made that mistake. We've had biological women we thought were men and biological men we thought were women. They were very effeminate. It happens.
We have we?
Oh, no, you're perfect.
Want to talk about this?
I'm sorry. I forgot.
No, I thought maybe you were recalling a time. I was like, you want to talk about this?
Well, it's funny because, like things like the word sir. Sir is used for in the military for men and women, right? You can call a captain sir, whether they're male or female, right? Any officer is a sir. Now, you could say yes, ma'am, but you can also tell a female officer yes, sir. That's perfectly fine to do. It is gender neutral when it comes to that. But when
and also a sign of respect.
It is, right? Absolutely. But in the average daily life, you call somebody in retail a sir when they're a female, they're going to take a little more offense because they don't have that same social compact they have in the military to understand that it is supposed to be a sign of respect. So you got to be okay. The word dude, right? The word dude has changed, right? It used to be dude referred to a guy. Now dude is asexual. It could be either or.
It's also applied to objects. Like, I swear to God, I was calling the cooler at work dude earlier today. Like dude, why are you fucking making that noise? You know what I mean? It's not even just genderized.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly to segue into also things that are signs of respect or sort of like the things that indicate a degree of comfort with other people. So just as a for instance, if you're, let's say for argument's sake, that if you make a joke at my expense, or if I make a joke at your expense, then the only reason that I would dare do that is because I have a degree of comfort and respect for you. I would not make a joke at somebody's expense who I didn't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like there's sort of like, I'm not trying to. So just we have so low tolerance for that in society now.
Well,
like you can make a joke. I could make a joke. Let's say, I've got a friend who. How can I say this? He differently abled, and I make jokes at his expense all the time. And people look at me like I'm like this evil son of a bitch, whilst he's laughing. And they make like the value judgment in that interaction is his reaction to it, not what your own moral sensibilities are. Random person walking down the street who's eavesdropping on our conversation. But society now is sort of like, oh no, I must make a moral sort of judgment on the third party where I'm not party to their personal relationship. I must. Because I've made a joke at somebody else's expense, that definitionally puts me as the evil party, as opposed to it being a sign of. How if you make a joke at the it's like when you say you're not allowed to make a joke about racism or sexism or Jews or whatever the case may be. It's like by saying you're not allowed to make jokes about those people, what you're saying is that they are somehow weaker than us, than the normal part of society, and they're not able to deal with somebody making fun of them. It's basically that's like white supremacy with a guilty conscience. It's still white supremacy. You just feel shit.
I think there's different types. I think there's different types of jokes. I think comedy has no bounds.
Of course,
but obviously, you know, true comedy. I'm gonna let the comedians speak here in a second, but let me just give you my view on it. I think comedy is not meant to harm. Comedy is meant to heal. Comedy is meant to make light of situations that are difficult so we can process them better. And that's where the difference between a funny joke that deals with something like race or things like that as ones who actually want to hurt and cause harm to somebody. There's a huge difference there. That's my take. But Aaron, you're the comedian. Well,
here's the thing, though. The humor has been the excuse to like excuse away certain behavior for so long. Like I can't tell you how many times throughout my life as a woman that I've heard from a guy or something who said or did something out of line. Was like, "What, can't you take a joke?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Oh my God, he was just joking. Like I can't tell you how many times a week that has happened to me. Okay, you know, so it depends. So and why? I mean, you're talking about joking with your friend. You guys trust each other. You guys are not out to harm one another. There's no power imbalance or whatever, you know, there, because your guys' mutual interest is just in the friendship you have with each other.
Also, Aaron, just quickly, if my friend said to me, "Please don't do that," that upsets me, I would stop doing that. But I'm not going to stop doing that because a third party reaches into the interaction and says, "Oh, that's offensive. Don't do that to him."
You're right. I completely agree with you. I mean, there are way too many times where a third party will jump in and assign judgment and then, you know, grandstand or whatever for whatever, you know, social justice or whatever it is that they want to be the savior for. I get it. No, you're absolutely right. That happens way too many fucking times. I think, though, there are some people, though, I think maybe who think that they should speak up because there are like abusive relationships where the person who's being abused for whatever reason, it doesn't have the confidence or the security in which to speak up. So this third person walking by assumes to know all about the situation and decides to speak up for them. How I think more often than not, they're just butting their fucking noses in where it doesn't belong really. But yeah, and this where like their amateur advocacy becomes an issue. Because there really is a right way to do advocacy, and there's
I totally agree with you. But and this is why I think like the professional comedians that use more comedy to fight against racism, to point out the complete ridiculousness of racism. That's what I think comedy, you know, when it's funny, right? When it's funny is to point out the absurdity of it all. It's certainly not to facilitate any kind of stereotype, or like if I said, hey, can't you take a joke, or on your period, you know, Aaron, that's not funny.
Well, just keeping it in the realms of sort of like the for sort of like the so my friend has mobility problems. They spend quite a chunk of their time in a wheelchair. So just from an advocacy point of view, like we're having a conversation, we're joking, and I might make a joke about he's got a condition called Canamad. It's a nerve condition, and so he has chronic pain, and it's kind of like fibromyalgia but on crack. So he has like nervous twitches, and like he will have like spinal spasms and stuff. It puts him on the floor, and when he's having a bad time, he ends up in a wheelchair. He actually originally was a customer of mine, and we just became friends, and I spent a degree of time with him. But his name's John as well. My name's John, and he has a fairly dark and robust sense of humor, and we can have a great time. So when you're talking about advocacy for a person, it's like if he's struggling to get into a shop and he's trying to open a door, if somebody opens the door for him and says, "Oh, there you go, bud," and you go, that's advocacy. Or if he's struggling to get up for a ramp or something like that in his wheelchair, and somebody says, "Oh, can I give you a hand?" That's advocacy. But if somebody were to march up to him and just grab hold of the handles of his wheelchair and just like start dragging him around the place, putting him where they thought that he wanted to go without having a conversation with him, that's no longer advocacy. That's virtue signaling. Does that make sense? That's kind of like that's an analog of 100%. Sort of somebody stepping into a moral situation and arbitrating for a person who may not need it or want it. You know, you need to be steered by the person who is in the sort of aggrieved position.
Yep. Before I get my next guest in here, though, you had touched on something I did want to talk about tonight, actually. You know, you talked about, you know, if you tell a friend something, right, they should respect that. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened in my life. Just recently, somebody I've known for a very, very long time started throwing around the word transphobe, and people know that on Twitter, I usually give people one, or maybe if I'm in a congenial good mood, I'll give them two. But for most of the time, if somebody uses the word transphobe, I just block them outright. I don't have time or the patience to deal with that kind of fuckery. But I usually let them know, hey, look, hyperbolic language doesn't really have an effect on me, and I think it's watered down, and I think that you're just not able to talk about the arguments and the discussions by throwing around such invectives. But I had a friend of mine that, like I said, has been a long-standing supporter of my channel. I really like the guy. But every time I turned around, he's just like, you're transphobic, you're doing this. And I said, look, I respect that you have that position. I respect that you think that I'm a transphobe. You're welcome to it. I cannot change your beliefs. I can question why you would think so. But as a friend, enough, because it's not helping anything, especially when you're on, a public forum and you're using these words to me. It has such negative connotations and such visceral reactions from me. It'd be like if Aaron started saying, hey, Steve, you're a racist. I'd be like, hey, Aaron, I don't know where you're coming from on that, because she definitely knows I'm not. But if she thought that way, I would respect it, and we wouldn't talk about it, and I would appreciate the fact she was a friend in other aspects. But if every time I saw Aaron, she said, hey, racist Steve, yeah, I'd be like, fuck off at this point. You're not respecting me as a friend. And I had that happen recently. And so I'm sure a lot of people had that happen to themselves as well. Stop doing that shit. It doesn't help anybody. And the last thing I said to the person was, what did you accomplish from this? Like, what did you accomplish? You lost a friend only because you didn't respect somebody you for years said was a friend. You weren't respecting the friendship. Does anybody disagree with me on that? And I'll bring my next guest in.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that if you're friends with, if you're friends with someone, if you're friends with someone, then you have a relationship that privileges the two of you to certain things that you wouldn't necessarily be considerate of with the public. I mean, in other words, like if there's something you take issue with, you're going to respect the person enough to go to them privately and have a talk with them rather than put them on blast publicly, or something, because you have a friendship. There's a But even then,
there's a point where you say, look,
yeah,
I don't want to talk about, and I told this person, I don't want to talk about it privately with you. Every time I bring it up publicly, I don't want your input on it, because you're no longer talking about the topic. All you're doing is just throwing out invectives. I can't have that. I did miss a super. I'm so sorry. Autistic Show for another 5. Rumble rant. I got to get used to that. I'm also a member of EKC here and Kick. I've never been on Kick. I don't think I'd want to go to Kick. But thank you, Autistic Show. So Autistic Show is my first member, my first super chat, and my second super chat. But I'm glad. I hope you guys agree on that, because it was very disconcerting. Because if I think Aaron, let's say I thought Aaron was what's another? There's racist. Okay, let's say I thought Aaron was sexist. Hey, Aaron, you're a misogynistic, sexist bitch. But you know what? You're cool. Let's go have let's have a drink or something like that and hang out and whatever. We just wouldn't talk about sexism, probably.
I also want to just throw out there that calling someone the term is one thing, and saying, listen, what you said or did was kind of misogynistic or kind of sexist. That's different, because then you're calling the action rather than the person.
Yeah, and you can argue one way or another. You can say, look, I disagree with you. I can argue against it. I disagree with you. I'm not in the mood to argue with it, and I accept your position.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. But that's what adult friends do. But anyways, I have Min Gwyn in here. Hey, buddy.
Hello, Steve.
How are you? And by the way, I always get that. I do say it right, Gwyn, right? Min Gwyn.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Anyways, but I love having you around. So I want to get your input on here. So I want to have you have the mic as somebody who is a well. You know what? You tell your story about Twitter and your experiences with me on Twitter. Go ahead.
You want me to tell you about my view on pronouns?
Yeah, well, your view on the whole transgender stuff, because I know that you talk a lot about it on Twitter, and from your personal perspective, why is it personal to you? About gay and trans community, LGBTQ.
Well, the thing is that I feel like the issue here is that the sexuality and gender identities are not the same thing, but more importantly, the trans community, especially the activists, they try to a lot of tactics to shame
gay and lesbian to see them as the sex that we supposed to be attracted to.
Hey, one second. John,
And,
John, can you mute real quick? Because I'm having a hard enough time, hearing because of the mic. Can you mute real quick, John? Oh my God, so much better. Thank you. All right, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, and I think the way that I don't like the trans activist community is that they usually try to shame gay and lesbian into like seeing them as the sex that we are supposed to be attracted to, and that's not how it works.
Nope.
Especially because the human brain is essentially sexually dimorphic when we interpret each other's sex. So it's impossible for me, like if I see somebody I'm not attracted to, it's just because the person does not appear to be the male sex I see as attractive. So the trans activists who said that I invalidate their manhood whatsoever because I don't see them as the real man.
Well, let me ask you because you're in the LGBT community, and
yeah,
when you see yourself or me get called terms like bigot because we are just asking about these subjects and trying to understand them in a way that makes sense to us, isn't that frustrating? Because I've been an ally for the LGBT community for all my life. I mean, I've never been homophobic. I've never been somebody who thinks that gay people should have less rights. I mean, if you remember the Jim Crow laws, how racist they were, I would have fought hand in hand against those, right? And I left the Mormon Church because the way the Mormon Church was treating gay people. I left because they were against gay marriage. I've always stood up for gay rights, and yet now I have the TQ plus community coming around saying, well, you know what? You're a real bigot, Steve, because I'm not accepting what they want me to accept based upon their radical ideological views, not just because who they're attracted to. I think if you're an adult, you have a right to be attracted to any other adult you want, but obviously, it has to be consensual. But if you're a man and you want to, date men, God bless you. I don't see a problem. What possible problem would anybody have with that? The people that have a problem with that, those are the people that are bigots. Those are the ones that are saying, nobody should be gay. Y'all need to be straight. Those are the people that everybody and their brothers should be fighting against, but they're spending their time trying to argue and hate on people like us who just don't accept that if you are a biological male, you can have a baby or have a period. I can't wrap my head around that.
Let me just ask you a question though. When you hear people or transgendered people complaining about not being recognized or not being viewed as such, what do you hear? What are they saying? Are they upset because they're not being viewed as or being accepted as being male or female, or are they upset because they're not being viewed or accepted as a man or a woman?
I think it could
because
be
I think that it's different because like I hear like I'm sorry, Ming. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
Ming. Yes.
Ming. Okay. So I hear him talking about how about being attracted to someone. Like I'm assuming that to mean a trans woman. Like people are saying, well, this person identifies as a woman. They live life as a woman. Therefore, you should be possibly be attracted to her. But you see. And they want to be treated as such. That's not. I don't think that that's the same thing though, because I think that that's more of a cultural thing. Like I want to be like if you want to be viewed as a woman or a man or like he was saying here something. I forget what it was. You worded something about being less man or less of a man or something like that. That's a cultural like turn of phrase. That's not just a sexual.
I hear what you're saying, but the thing is that when
that didn't come out right, but okay,
I can parse it out. But like myself, I'm not going to be interested in somebody who's biologically male, no matter what they believe. Right? My sexuality is not contingent upon somebody else's beliefs. They can believe that they're anything. They can believe they're a woman, a man, a duck. It doesn't matter. That's their internal mind state. I have no onus to accept their internal mind state for my sexual preference. Now, obviously, and again, this is the only way that it seems the society could work if it is dealing more on passability. Look at like Buck Angel. Angel, all of us are going to call him he. We're going to refer to Buck Angel as a he. He lives his life as a man. He's biologically a woman. Nothing's been surgically altered, from what I understand. But because he's so passing, it's normative that we're just going to refer to him as he or she. Now, but then you have people out there that have argued against, like Dylan Mulvaney and Jeffrey Marsh, and who's non-binary now. But you also have the Jennifer Genevieve and other people that clearly are not passing, that want to be accepted as the other sex. And to me, that goes back to John's narcissism. That goes back to John talking about the people that just want to have power and control and feel like they have something special, because nobody's going to give a shit about people like Buck Angel or Blair White. I'm never going to say Blair White, call Blair White a he. It's, to me, she. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But if Blair White looked like John Foley here, I'm going to be like, no.
It's about a perceived sincerity from your interlocutor as well. So if I perceive a degree of sincerity from the person that I'm speaking to,
that's true too.
Then
that's a good point. That's an excellent point.
I will engage with that person.
Yes.
And I don't agree with a massive amount of what Ben Shapiro says, but just as a for instance, Ben Shapiro's position seems to be that when he is in a debate, he will not use the pronouns of a person that don't conform to their biology, because if he's in a debate and he's arguing the counterpoint, then by using their pronouns, he is in part conceding a position in the debate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas in an interpersonal relationship, if he perceives the person to be sincere about what they believe, if he's at dinner with the person, he's not going to be an arrogant piece of shit and not use their preferred pronouns.
I don't have a problem with that.
I have to be honest. I struggle to fault that position.
Yeah, I mean, if let's say Aaron was biologically a male, and again, it's indeterminate right now. None of us really know one way or another. We just assume. I'm still going to call her her, regardless.
We don't need to assume, Steve. She's gorgeous. Leave her alone.
My dick would be bigger, though. You know that, right?
me and Gwen, we can go take off. He's gay. I think he has a little crush on me. And hey, look, for $1 million, he's all mine. I don't,
Hey, look, I'm speaking quiet.
I even do it for 100,000. I mean, because I like him. So
I'm speaking quietly right now. My wife's upstairs. So.
Just so long as we're all in agreement here, though.
Yeah.
Just so long as we all agree here, though, if I were biologically a male, my dick would be the biggest.
This is probably true. Yeah. Well, genetics. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Although mine's an English dick, so there is a degree of quality here that I'm presenting that needs to be accepted.
I'm on Rumble now. I guess I can say the word dick, penis, or whatever, because on YouTube, if I ever had said the word penis, it turned into an actual defamational lawsuit. So yeah, okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was. And Aaron knows, man. I don't even use the word penis in biological terms, man. I keep on saying I'm Navy, man. We just say dick or cock, man. We don't go around going, hey, Captain, you're swinging your penis out there. Nobody says that shit, man.
I have to be honest, Steve. I cannot possibly, under no circumstance, that I have. I mean, oh my God, girl, you're treating that penis right nice. I mean, that's just.
No. Yeah. But I think you're actually right. Is a social thing too. I mean,
it just doesn't sound right.
I have friends who are trans. I have friends, people that are trans, and they're sincere about it. Absolutely, I'm going to treat that sincerity with respect. And this is why when people say that people are transphobic when they're not, it alienates the allies. It has a detrimental effect.
Absolutely.
Because you're violating that social contract. Because again, I may not be in somebody's social group. I may not have to accept what their position is, because I might find them to be just an arrogant, egotistical narcissist that just wants to be, tell people what to do prescriptively, and I don't have to cater to that. But if I'm friends with them, then of course I'm going to have a little bit more consideration and not want to be a dick to them.
I think sometimes people, when people call you, you transphobic for whatever reason, you sort of have to be thick-skinned about it. For example, if I see somebody who, like a trans man, and I say that I'm not attracted to you because you don't, I would try not to be rude to him by saying that you don't look like a man to me. But that's the fact, that he doesn't look like a man. That's why I'm not into him. But
would you be interested? Okay. Would you be interested in something like Blair White? I think most of us would agree Blair White is a very attractive person. Now, granted, a lot of it's hair and makeup. It might be hair and makeup, but you would.
No, I mean, Blair White is essentially she passed as a woman, so I'm a gay man. So I cannot be attracted to her. It's not possible. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So
Okay, but all right, can I? No,
Yeah,
because there's a point I want to pull off of there. Okay, so as a gay male, would it be accurate to say that since you're a gay male, you would be attracted to every other gay male you meet because you're both gay males, right? You match up,
No.
right? Because
Not
exactly.
Because
That's my point. That's why.
Right.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because attractiveness isn't contingent just on something like gender or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, for anyone to sit there and say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't be, or you should be attracted to this person because of X, Y, and Z." Why? Unless like C, for example, unless you are automatically attracted to every single female in the world, all of them, all age, every female, then why the hell would people assume that you're going to be attracted to this female, this passing female? Okay,
Yeah,
why?
I agree with you.
It's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Yeah, but
So-
this is what I'm saying though. But the radical gender ideologists are out there mandating and dictating and making it prescriptive that if you don't want to date a trans person, you're automatically transphobic, which is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
That's kind of rapey to me. I'm sorry. That's how it comes across. Like they're taking your choice away. That's what it sounds like. I don't get that.
Exactly.
I don't like that.
But like Gwen said, if Gwen's attracted to a man, and all of a sudden there's somebody like Buck Angel who looks like a male but has female genitalia, and he says, "Look, I think you're physically attractive, but I'm not sexually attracted to you because of the genitalia." I don't have a problem with that. Buck Angel wouldn't have a problem with that. And I think I think that's the main point.
Can I ask a question? Like, is it Gwyn? Gwyn? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's my last name. You can call me Min too.
Min. Well, whatever you prefer. Ingrid. Okay. So I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I sort of like the most sort of like the gay community, the gay part of the community that I've come into contact with, not like that before anybody makes a joke, has like they seem to be incredibly sort of sexually free. Like there's a lot of like sex because men generally speaking are highly sexed. When you have a gay male community, there tends to be a lot of sex going on. I mean, that's my perception of it, and from the gay friends that I have, that seems to be how they've conveyed it to me. Do we think is that kind of sort of like this aspect of what Aaron was just talking about, where sort of we make the assumption that if like all gay people are attracted to all gay people and all straight people are attracted to all women? You don't have to be. You're discerning within your own subgroups. Mm-hmm. But the gay community, especially on the male side of the gay community, don't tend to be, from my perspective, that discerning. Is that sort of like...
Well, hang on. Isn't that kind of... I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe does that play into stereotypes that like gay men are more promiscuous?
It may do, because I'm not gay myself. I'm just conveying what I perceive from gay friends that I have.
No, I think it plays into a more of a sexist stereotype rather than like a male female one rather than. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say that.
Hey, Aaron, at least we got a little more diversity. We have a gay man on the panel now. You happy? Are you happy, Aaron?
No, we need a gay black man. We need a straight black man. We need a transgender.
Man, exactly.
You know, we need a person with one leg that's short.
We need a Trumpster. A flat earther.
We need a person who have each leg is shorter than one another's. I mean, you know, we need.
Got to cover all bases, man.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Oh, come on! Don't hold back now. This is Rumble. We can say what the fuck we want. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if we need one where one boob is bigger than the other, I got that covered. I'm kidding. Every woman has that. Every fee. Yes, I know. That's why I said that.
You know that in my long-standing history of retail, I was in charge of the Brazil department in some places. I mean, I know this for a fact. I've seen some shit. I have seen some shit. Okay.
Why can I
Yeah.
not get the image of Steve
and it's
with
so
his
funny
long
because-
sex cult
because-
hairdo, just welcoming a woman into a dressing room, going, "How this way for your
Oh my
bra
God.
fitting, madam."
Dude, it is. I swear, does this fit right? I mean, and you know, Boston, Craft and Borrow, and Bali, and other manufacturers, what they consider to be like a D cup, and maybe like a C in other brands, or double D, or the underbust size, as opposed to the round the back size, which is from a 36 or 38. These things differ from. Yeah, and I of course know these things. I've done a lot with. I don't want to get into details, but I know what the hell you're talking about. But yes, every woman typically one is actually going to be a little. I had a girlfriend who was very well endowed, and she named hers Natasha and Boris, and she's always like, Natasha's bigger, or one of the you know. Yeah, so that's a very true fact. Yeah, it's a very true fact. And that's also why it's hard to find bras in certain manufacturers, because the underwire bras are very different than the ones that are a little more padding and things of that nature. So yes, just like the naming boob thing is a bit odd. I mean, just as a for instance, my wife's are called Pinky and Perky. So well, UK is completely different as well. Yeah, UK and Mexico has different sizing things too. Like I bought a size pair of 12 shoes. And they were no way. There's no possible way they were size 12. I mean, I'm saying 11 at most. And but then I bought another pair of shoes that were pair 12. I got a great deal on for like $5 for some really nice biking boots. And you know what? They fit perfectly as shit. So
did you say $5 for hiking boots?
Yeah, you want to see them? I'm joking. I'll show them to you.
$5?
Yeah.
If you
banana for $5 in the UK.
If you buy any kind of clothing article from any kind of online China place, you should go up like 2 or 3 sizes automatically, because their sizes are not the same as our sizes. Their small is the toddler.
In fairness, everything seems big to a Chinese 6-year-old. So
I'm just saying, like I paid like $50 or $50 each for these 2 bras. And I even bought like a little bit generous of a size for American sizes, and they showed up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like 3 sizes too small. This is ridiculous.
These are 13s. They're $40 normally. Rockaware Austin Wheat. See these?
Yeah, back them up a bit, Steve. They're quite close to the camera.
I got these.
Oh, they look like decent. They look like decent quality boots.
I got these for $5, man. $5. I'm frugal as shit.
3.
You got that for $3? Damn.
$3, yeah.
We're thrifty shoppers, man. Oh, but you know what? But it's so funny. I didn't even notice. They're 13s. They were in the size 12 section, but they're actually 13. No wonder they fit so well. But I have had shoes where I guarantee, like the ones I bought, they're 12. No possible way they were 12s. I like to comfortably in a 12. 13 is awesome, even though it's a little bit big. But for men, we always try to go bigger.
For your height, but you've got big feet for your height, because I'm 5'11" and my feet are size 10.
Yeah. Oh God, no. I couldn't put my fucking big toe in a size 10.
Yeah.
The smallest shoe I have is 11. Yeah. I couldn't even. I've tried 10.5. So ain't no freaking way. I barely fit into 11. Yeah. I got pretty good sized feet. Yeah. But anyways, where else?
Make of that what you will, ladies and gentlemen.
I can talk about that on here. Steve's talking about his dick again. We'll wait for the audience to catch up here, and then.
Yeah, I'm gonna refresh the live stream now.
Yeah, I don't think it caught up. I think it ended.
Oh wait a minute! Wait! Hey, maybe.
No, it's back.
All right, go ahead.
Well, it looks back to me.
Yeah.
You said it's not the same thing. Well, it is the same thing from the perspective of consent. You can't, if you're under the age of 18 legally in the United Kingdom and the United States, although it's a bit different because obviously you guys have set different boundaries. You've got 16 for some stuff, 21 for others. We're a little bit more sort of permissive in the UK. 16 is, you can drink at 18, you can drive at 17, you can fuck at 16, you can get married at 16. Everything here seems to happen a little bit sooner than in the States. I presume that's because of your sort of slightly more overtly religious restrictiveness. But the point is that we're arguing these things from a point of principle. And the reason that you argue them from the point of principle is if you argue from a point of principle, then you don't need to inflict harm, or you don't need to allow harm to be inflicted on people in order to defend the principle. The principle stands in its own right. You're arguing against a potential future harm when you're arguing from a point of principle. You don't need the utilitarian position.
An irreversible harm and an irreversible harm and something that can cause like actual like trauma, basically, or like a tattoo. Like that's the reason why I say they don't compare is because no one's really traumatized over getting a tattoo for the most part. They shouldn't be, anyways. And it can you can actually get a tattoo removed. So it's exactly. Yeah. Whereas where we're talking about here, it's a little more complex than that. And it's a little more heavier than that. So I mean, that's why there was a horrible comparison for me to make, and I apologize. I should have made that.
I don't think it is.
Hang on, I don't think it's a bad comparison because we only have recently the ability to take off tattoos. I mean, they used to be considered to be permanent. Now they're at least semi-permanent. But here's the thing, when we were talking about had the transgender community gone too far, it had to do really, again, with the kids, because I think I missed this part when we were off because it froze, but I was saying that none of us would really be having much interest in having discussions if they weren't telling people that in Canada, if you don't affirm a child's identity, it's considered to be child abuse, and that it's almost be criminalized. And in certain states, when they have divorces, they're trying to push that if you don't take the child's consideration of their gender and don't just affirm them, it can be used in divorce cases. That's where I think people draw the line. I think that's going
to open the door for people to use that as a weapon or something. Again, that's crazy.
Right, exactly, and that's the problem. And so when you have people out there like Billboard Chris and everybody out there saying, "Look, when you're an adult, do what the fuck you want." None of us really care if somebody is trans and they're adult. My thing is, hey, be who you are, and if you feel like you're a woman, that's your belief. But when it comes to children. When it comes to the children, and you want to have a law that says you must affirm their gender, or you're committing a crime, or can be used in civil action, you've jumped the shark, and that's why I think the trans community has lost so much support recently.
Well, and Canada has gone down this crazy dystopian rabbit hole where they have literally. This is literally the case. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not making shit up. This is literally the case. You have clinical psychologists that specialize with care towards children who have pushed back on the self-diagnosis of children's gender dysphoria. And because that is, quote unquote, not affirming, they have been up in front of disciplinary boards.
100%. And they've lost
clinical psychologists pushing back on a child's psychological state of mind are up in front of disciplinary boards because that is not affirming care. That is absolutely terrifying.
Bonkers. And I think that's a good place to leave it because, again, the point of this episode was, has transgenderism gone too far? And I think that's where it's gone too far. There are other things that we're talking about, as far as sports. That's going to take a little more nuance, I think. And I'd like to have an expert on the topic. I have invited a few experts that I know for that particular topic if we get into like women's in sports or trans in sports. But I think that's a good place to leave it. I think, what's so funny is I don't think many of us really have any divergent, really radical views that differ from each other here. Most of us agree on, I think, the centrist points of view and the overall aspect. I think the points where people would disagree are going to be in the more radical views. And hopefully we'll get somebody in here that wants to talk about them. If you know somebody that has a more second, 3 or 2 or 3 standard deviation away, look, bring them in. I'm happy to have those discussions. So, yeah, how you guys?
Should we get Atlas back on?
Oh God! Dear God, no. Can I kick you for that? All right, so let's wrap it up. I want to thank people for following me over here on Rumble. Like I said, I'm going to put this on YouTube. The only thing I don't know is, should I put it? What do you think? Should I put this on my personal channel, Steve McRae? Or do you think I should put this on the Non-Sequitur Show channel? Even though it's not on the Non-Sequitur Show channel on Rumble, what do you think, Aaron? Give me your vote here: Non-Sequitur or Steve McRae?
I don't know what's got the biggest reach.
Non-Sequitur.
I mean,
yeah, I put on that. I think it's.
This is good. This is a good discussion.
Yeah, and I think it's. Yeah, why can't you? Yeah.
Oh, I could. I could mirror my. I could. Well, YouTube doesn't really like mirroring, but they don't really. If it's your own video, I guess you could put it on more than one channel. But why people don't usually do that? You just pick one.
You've divested yourself too much, Steve. Too many little pockets of influence.
I think this is good diversification. I think, Aaron, you're promoting yourself over on Rumble now too, right?
I'm starting to. Yeah. I would manage to do one live stream and have it work. So I'm still working on it.
So we have one question before I go, and it's a great question. April says, and I think she's asking me, but I'm not sure. She said, "Am I mistaken, or are you saying you're not cool with having to affirm the pronouns of kids if they believe they're trans?" Oh, I'm okay with that. As long as they're not getting medically unnecessary things done to them, if they realize later on that they may not be trans or they're just gay or effeminate, it gives them outs. It gives them ability to learn. You could, if a child wants to wear a dress and be called she, I don't personally I'm okay with that. If my daughter,
I think,
yeah, I'd be okay.
I think she was referring to something else, though. I think she was referring to because I not just a few minutes ago. I think was it John maybe who said something about Canada. Or whatever about kids. Yeah, I think that might be what they were referring to. And I would just want to say, I interpreted what John was saying is that the government was insisting on this for all kids to decide and declare, and that's what John was having an issue with. That why is the government insisting on this?
Right. And I agree that the government shouldn't insist.
Yeah.
As a parent, you can.
I agree too.
You have your choices. Once the government comes in and regulates that you have to affirm a child's whatever beliefs, then the government has overstepped their bounds. Now, I'm saying, hang on. I'm saying that as a parent, we probably do have an ethical duty to raise our children in a certain way. But again, it's a learning experience. But there's no fucking way you're going to convince me the government can mandate what you should do when it comes to affirming a child's beliefs. No fucking way. And I can't imagine ever accepting that. But I think you should just do it because it's probably the right thing to do. And the kid is learning. It's a learning experience. So I don't have a problem with it.
Was April that asked that question?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know who that was particularly directed at, but I have some pretty pretty forceful views when it comes to sort of the reaching into the relationship between a parent and a child. As a father myself, I am absolutely 100% convinced that in almost all circumstances, the parents understand their child best, know their child best, and are also in the best position to advocate for their own children and have the vested interest of their children at heart. As soon as you, I'm obviously, I presume that it is self-evidently the case that just by virtue of proximity, that a negligent or I don't use the word evil that often, but an evil person who happens to be a parent also has the opportunity to do the most harm to that child. But in 99.9% of cases, a parent has the vested interest of their child at heart, and externalizing the responsibility of looking after the child to a government entity and institution is absolutely going to be less effective and less loving and less competent 100%. Than the parent. And my issue with sort of governments coming in and sort of, by fiat stating, here's a set of values that you must imbue into your child. Like, when we're talking about like a child that says, "Oh, I'd like you to call me a she," like, I mean, I have a 4-year-old son, and he has a 7-year-old sister. His sister is older than him, and he is heavily steered by the things that his sister is interested in because he wants to be interested in the things that she's interested in. He's highly malleable. He's an independent little person, and we're starting to see the personality that he has and what he wants. I mean, he's going through the stage right now where if I tell him no, like if he asks for a cookie and we're about to cook tea and I go, "No, you can't have the cookie now, you can have the cookie later," all he hears is the word no, and he curls up in the ball and shrieks on the kitchen floor, and he has a fucking meltdown, and it's a pain in the ass, but he has his own little personality, and he is his own little person right now. I know him, my wife knows him, and my daughter, his sister, knows him better than anybody else on the face of the planet. The notion that a government bureaucrat is going to reach into our relationship and state that because of this piece of legislation over here, he says he wants to be called a she, and you must do that.
It's bizarre. Yeah, it's overreaching.
It's bizarre.
Let me ask you.
It's an overreach. And if somebody reaches into that relationship, I'm going to tell them to go fuck themselves.
I got to work in the morning, man. I got to end this soon. John could talk forever. Let me ask Min real quick. I do want to ask him this before I leave. Min, you know, you all your life you've been gay. Now, if you had been at 4, 5, 6 years old, thinking you were trans and you wanted to be more effeminate and wearing dresses, and you grew out of that stage, would you not have been resenting your parents if they forced you to have hormone replacement therapy or even worse, genital reassignment surgery when you were just going through that phase of being effeminate as a gay man rather than somebody who's actually was trans?
No.
What's that?
Sorry. Yeah. Actually, I went to that stage before, and I did want to transition to become a woman because, you know, in my culture, it's very homophobic. So the option to make sense at that time was to behave like a woman and become a woman. So if I were born this time, yeah, I would be transitioned for sure.
No, so if you had to do it over again, would you transition to be a female, or are you just happy being a gay man?
Well, no, I'm just happy to be this way. I don't want to transition.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So you like what you got, man, right? You don't want to have any kind of
exactly.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think that's a great way to leave it because again, children change their minds on things, and that's the biggest reason why I fight against it. It's because I don't like seeing children being pushed into things, the government overregulation, and people want to call that transphobic. They're out to fucking lunch. And this is why I don't want to have this conversation with anybody who labels somebody transphobic merely because they're trying to protect children from those things that are happening, the overreaching of the government, and not even allow the discussion to be happening. There were people years ago that have said, if you even talk about these things, you're transphobic, and they can fuck off. And they've lost so much ground because of that hardline stance, as well as they should. Because, like I said, most of us are intelligent, rational people. We want the best for people, and we certainly want the best for our kids. And to have the government try to come in and tell us what they think is best for our children, or have people sit there and say, hey, look, I don't have a cogent rejoinder to your argument. I'm just going to sit here and label you terms like transphobic or bigot. They have recused themselves from the conversation, and who the fuck wants to have a conversation with them? That's my position. Say what you got to say, and let's get the hell out of here. All right, everybody's quiet. So good to say we agree on this. All right.
We do, and I know you want to. I always have something to say. I know you want to go, Steve, but I do I don't want to portray myself as also stating that the government has no role to play or authorities have no role to play. So where I would concede the authorities have a role to play is in areas of extreme harm. They don't have a right to insert values into a family environment, but they absolutely, just as a child protection services, things around where it comes to sort of you could all positions have extremes, and if you've got a parent who thinks that incest with a minor is appropriate, then the government authority figures absolutely have to step in there.
Yeah, and
there are extremes.
We'll look at some of the more numbers maybe next time. The problem with a lot, April's pointing out some of the regret numbers, like how many people. The problem with these statistics are, one, these are not long-term studies. We've not had the ability to do these things, these types of interventions since the last maybe 20 years. So we don't know what's going to happen 40, 50 years from now. Also, most of them are self-reporting. Right, they're self-reporting, and most of them deal with adults. Very few studies actually deal with children. We don't know what it's like for a 6-year-old that had been transitioned today, what their regret's going to be 40 years from now. There's just not enough data on any of that. It's brand new territory. But like I said, when most of these studies are self-reporting, and even then they're dealing with 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds, there's going to be some differences between that and a child that's 8. So
some cretin the other day,
but it's just really doesn't mean much.
Some cretin the other day on Twitter that was in a conversation with both you and I, Steve, cited a study stating that surgery, puberty blockers and surgery with minors provided them like a long-term, essentially was a long-term solution to the suicidality of the transgender community.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different ballgame. It's bullshit.
But what I mean is, they cited the study and they said they prefaced it and placed it as like a long-term study.
Yeah,
And then when I went into the study, it was a self-reported study of 120 individuals that was a 12-month long study for 13 to 22-year-olds. I mean, I'm sorry, lifetime suicidality does not just sit between the ages of 13 to 22. And you cannot take 120 people over 12 months that have an age range of 13 to 22 and conclude fucking anything. Yeah. You couldn't even conclude their favorite flavor of fucking ice cream with that data set, let alone their suicidality.
It's manipulative. And plus, it doesn't take into account comorbidities either. That's a big
just because a study fucking exists doesn't mean it's right. You have to actually look at the fucking study. You can't just
But when you have suicidalities, there's a lot of, almost every single time there's comorbidities that people just seem to
of course
put to the side. But anyways, let's wrap it up. Min, thank you very much, my friend. You've been a staunch supporter, and I'm very proud and humbled to support the gay and lesbian community. Like I said, I support the trans community too. Whether people believe it or not, I support the trans community. But that doesn't mean that I cannot be critical when I think that they fucked up and they've jumped the shark and they make bad arguments. And that's all I've been doing. And like I said, if people want to call that transphobic, they can fuck off. They're not interested in having an honest discussion. John, as always, thank you, my friend, for showing. And if you want to flirt with Aaron here when I end his, this is fine. But just his wife's in the other room.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, look at her blush. I've never seen her so happy.
She can join. I mean,
whatever, man.
Oh my God, right there. I'm gonna go and get her.
Fly your freak flag. I don't care. Again, grown adults, do what you got to do. Fly your freak flag. Gay, straight, it doesn't matter. It is consensual. Be happy. Live your life. Don't fuck with people, and don't get too involved in their personal and their bedrooms. It's none of your fucking business. Stay out of it. With that, I'm see you guys later. Thanks for joining on Rumble. Thanks for the super chats from Autistic Shill and the memberships. And please help me promote this Rumble stuff and get the word out there. Share this video on social media. Subscribe, and I will be putting it on the NonSequitur Show on YouTube. So follow me over there. NonSequitur Show, YouTube, and Steve McRae. With that, good night.
Bye, Steve.